On July 16, 2017, a new milestone in science fiction had occurred. After 53 years and change, after years of speculation and contemplation, the time had finally come that the role of Doctor Who would be bequeathed to another seasoned performer, and finally, after all this time, the Doctor was blonde again. Oh, thank Christ. After Colin Baker, it was just brown, gray, black, brown, gray. There are other colors to choose from, for Christ's sake. Oh, and the Doctor was also being played by a woman. The initial reaction was overall positive, but like your asshole tingling after a serious hot sauce shit, the naysayers started typing with their dicks, which was impressive considering that, shockingly, some of them were women. All were voicing their disapproval, each attempting to voice their denial in a way that didn't make them sound like sexists and pretty much crashing and burning like ScarJo's Ghost in the Shell. Many so-called Doctor Who fans made claims that spit in the face of the Doctor Who canon. Does it? Of course it doesn't. If anything, it's totally adhering to the show's core value of journeying into the unknown. Today, in an impromptu edition of Close Examinations, we're going to observe why this latest change is not only in keeping with the show's values, it was just plain inevitable. As previously observed, the fundamentals of Doctor Who are as follows. A mysterious alien known only as the Doctor travels through time and space in a ship that's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, has friends along for the ride, and battles evil wherever it rears its ugly plunger. That's it! These are the core traits of the show going all the way back to the Daleks' first appearance. The core values of the show are so blissfully simple that the show is one of the most flexible to drastic change as it went on. Because the show was always brave enough to change, that's why it survived all these years. In fact, let's look at the show's history going all the way back to the first drastic change. When the first Doctor, William Hartnell, was declining in health to the point where he could no longer carry on, well, surely there's no way you can replace him. He's the Doctor. Oh, wait. He's an alien from a highly evolved species, a species which we still don't know anything about. What's there saying that a species can't renew themselves post-mortem? Oh yeah, nothing. Let's run with it. And look at that. Oh no, the Doctor's got a problem too big for him to solve. I think we just wrote ourselves into a corner. Or did we? Was there any written law that we should never know the Doctor's people? Oh right, there isn't. In fact, we met one during Hartnell's era. We just never knew what to call them. Time Lords. Yeah, that sounds nice. Since we know what his people are called now, shouldn't we know what his planet is called? Shit, something wacky and spacey. Gallifrey! That's a ticket. It's clear this changing Doctors thing is going to be our get out of jail free card, but changing doesn't sound science-y. How about, regeneration? There, we're going with that. That sounds suitably epic. But wait, how many times can he regenerate? We don't want him to just keep doing this, otherwise we'll be deprived of tension with all those amazing cliffhangers. How about we give him an allotted number of lives, but to add intrigue, how about we make it possible to circumvent the process just in case we want to keep going on? Wait, what are female Time Lords called? Time Ladies. Wow, and the award for Dumbass Question of the Year goes to... Interesting. Disciplined Time Lords can actually manipulate their regeneration. Holy hell, didn't we allude to that in the War Games? That's right, they can do that. Wait, Daleks can climb stairs? What the hell? He just kissed his companion. Since when was he able to do that? Since when has he ever been sexually active? Oh, yeah, he has a granddaughter. Well, okay then. Time Lords are dead? But they were the most advanced race in the universe. How'd that happen? Well, I guess we'll find out. He's going to resurrect the Time Lords and yet maintain the character development we achieved to this point? After that miracle, please cure cancer. How's this for a twist? We regenerate the Master into a woman. Can Time Lords change gender? Nothing in the 26 seasons of the classic series says they couldn't. In fact, Sidney Newman, Patrick Troughton, and Tom Baker were all open to the idea. Will our audience be open to it? Well, they didn't like the idea of Hartnell changing into Troughton all those years ago, but they learned to love it. Let's just present the best way possible, and they'll just get used to it. Hell, they initially hated the Doctor pining for Rose, now they won't shut up about it. Kinda wish they would. Are you seeing a pattern here? Doctor Who is a show that has constantly evolved over the years. Whenever it made major changes to the show, it was done with care and genuine thought. Choices such as these were never done flippantly and were done with the intent to explore new aspects of the show that had never been explored before. The Doctor had never regenerated into a woman, but there was never anything in the prior history of the series saying otherwise. Go back to the story of the Deadly Assassin. That was the first episode to lay down the idea that regeneration is a finite process. In that same story, it revealed that it was possible to gain more through ill-gotten means, but never in that episode, or any post-regeneration episode since, did they negate the idea that the Time Lord could change gender. In the episode Destiny of the Daleks, we saw Romana, in the midst of her new regeneration, change shape multiple times, even into different species, which implied that a Time Lord could be disciplined enough to control the regeneration. At the end of the War Games, they flat out show that Time Lords could actually manipulate a regeneration, a point which was solidified in Night of the Doctor, where they gave the Doctor the option of what his next regeneration would be, including the option of changing his gender. This, however, was not the first mention of a Time Lord going from crueler to donut. Apart from the other obvious example of the General in Hellbent, in the episode The Doctor's Wife, when the Doctor spoke of his friend the Corsair, he alluded to the fact that the Corsair became a woman on multiple occasions. So clearly there is precedent for it. Now, with this bit of information, it was set in stone, it was canon, and it was undeniable. When Matt Smith announced he would be leaving the show, the question was raised about whether or not the Doctor should regenerate into a woman. Showrunner Stephen Moffat essentially responded, pointing out that after 50 years of the role being played by white men, it would need to be someone who could carry that weight, the weight of that legacy. He even warned the incoming showrunner Chris Chibnall that your choice of Doctor should simply be the best person for the job and not serve an agenda. Chibnall even went on record that it was always his intention to aim for a female Doctor. It's even safe to bet that Moffat knew that the tide was moving in this direction, which would definitely explain his decision to have the beloved villain the Master regenerate into Missy. It would be an interesting experiment to see if an actress can sell an audience on the notion that this woman used to be Roger Delgado. Clearly the gamble worked. Missy reappeared in the series each year during the Capaldi era, and she became one of the dominant emotional arcs in Season 10. As an extra piece of vindication of Michelle Gomez's take on the role, we got to see her spar with the previous Master, which effectively showed how alike she was with all of her predecessors. So when you think about the way this series has progressed over the 54-year history, the notion of a Doctor changing his gender wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment idea, it was built up in order to ease us into it when it inevitably arrived. The real question is, what kept them from doing it sooner? Tom Baker teased the idea when he was leaving the show. While it could be considered a jest, then producer John Nathan Turner entertained the notion for press interest. Meanwhile, in 1986, series creator Sidney Newman even nudged Michael Gray to the notion of a female Doctor. He even recommended that she should definitely not be a Wonder Woman type, seeing as the perfect female personification wouldn't be as interesting for an endearingly eccentric character such as the Doctor. Newman's endorsement of this idea shouldn't be taken lightly. After all, it was his trailblazing appointment of a woman back in 1963 that led to Doctor Who becoming the phenomenon it was. As we've discovered, the series itself is open to the notion of the Doctor becoming a woman, and many seasoned veterans of the show, including former Dr. Colin Baker, outgoing Dr. Peter Capaldi, and series writer Paul Cornell avidly endorse this idea. So if you're one of those who are rabidly against this change and want to find the reason the idea doesn't sit right, look no further than your bathroom mirror. And while you're at it, smack the shit out of yourself because you're part of the problem. If you're offended that the Doctor is a woman, then congratulations, you are an insult to everything the Doctor stands for. Clearly you have no concept of what makes a Doctor a heroic character. Just stop watching and go back to idolizing Adam Sandler, and while you're at it, pick up some diapers on the way home for you and the 20 trailer park babies you're inevitably going to conceive for your tax incentives, and don't miss tonight's episode of Ow My Balls! We'll eventually find out how Jodie will do in the role, but in the meantime, if you're worried about Jodie Whittaker's mettle as an actress, look no further than Broadchurch, Black Mirror, and Attack the Block. And if those aren't enough to sell you on her evident talents, then I cannot help you. If you're worried about how Jodie will do in this role, that's fine, and that's perfectly natural. Many people didn't know how Matt Smith would fare in the role because at the time, no one knew who the hell he was. But to say that an actress can't play a blatantly gender-neutral role because of her gender, that is just puerile logic at its most troglodytic. Doctor Who is a show that has always had the absolute freedom to go where it wants to, anytime, any place, in so many ways. In the grand scheme, this change was only a matter of time. What's wonderful about the way the show has evolved is that no change has ever been permanent. We keep watching it because we want to see where it takes us. We might not agree with the way it is now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to stay that way. Change is, and has always been, the prime mover behind this show, so long as it adheres to the aforementioned fundamentals: the TARDIS, the mystery, the Doctor, the companions, the monsters. The show will always be Doctor Who. Besides, shouldn't we be more worried about the fact that the head writer is the man who gave us that? Did you find this video enlightening? For more addictive content on Narcotic Casserole, like, share, and subscribe. Click, and thou shalt be served.